Hi, everyone. This is Barbara Miller from Museum of the Moving Image. Welcome. It's so nice to be with you all tonight. Since mid-March, as many of you know, we have been out of our building in Queens, New York, where among many other things, we have an ongoing exhibition devoted to the remarkable career of Jim Henson. Since our building has been closed, we've done a whole host of remote programming with many of the folks that have worked with Jim over the years and continued to steward the remarkable stories and characters that, that he created for the screen and together shaped an enduring legacy. Tonight is another edition of Q&A with Craig Shemin and Stephanie D'Abruzzo with special guest Matt Vogel. Very excited. Before we start, a couple things. Just inviting you to head over to movingimage.us anytime to access more great content from MoMI until we get our doors back open, hopefully soon, and even after, we'll continue to bring you lots of great stuff through our website and other ways. If you are local to New York, head over to the Queens Drive-In in Flushing Meadows Park, where we have partnered with Rooftop Films and the New York Hall of Science to create a really phenomenal screening experience. Until you can go to movie theaters again, please come to the Queens Drive-In and see great films for the screen. I think we're keeping the drive-in open through November, so there's still a lot of chance to go and see great movies. Some of you out there are members. Hi, members. Nice to see you again. And if you are new to the community, then welcome. It's great to have you. We provide many events like this for free, but if you are watching, we're hoping that you will decide to make a donation. Just for convenience sake, I shamelessly put a link in the chat to make it easy for you. So a donation would really help us continue to bring great programming like this to you and help us get our doors back open. Finally, just inviting you over the course of the conversation. This is a very interactive experience that Craig and Stephanie host. They want questions from you guys. So whenever you have anything to ask, just put it in the Q&A box in the Zoom screen. So without further ado, it is my sincere pleasure to introduce Craig Shemin, president of the Jim Henson Legacy and longtime writer with the Jim Henson Company, and Stephanie D'Abruzzo, Tony Award nominated performer for her star turn in Avenue Q and puppeteer for Sesame Street. Craig and Stephanie.
Hi, everyone. Look, he got his haircut. But we will always have memories like the corners of my mind.
So if you're new to this, you may need a little bit of context. So you guys, you want to provide a little context for the viewers?
Craig let his hair grow very long in quarantine. Though it was very fluffy, and now I don't get to play with it. There was a common theme in the there's a little
you
puff.
tweeted a picture, I think.
Oh, I've tweeted many things.
But you'll
about your hair.
You'll always have your memories of COVID hair.
That's right. That's right. But we saw the COVID hair develop like the chia pet that it is
on our previous project
on these live streams.
That's right.
Had we not had these live streams, the world would have been deprived of Craig's head. So we're grateful to the museum and you, Barbara, as always, for allowing us to come and babble for a little bit every couple of months or so and show people Craig's
Barbara,
hair.
we should mention what's happening in Omaha.
That's right.
Yes, it's true. We are, what is today? Maybe it's today. Today is the opening day of, thank you for remembering, Craig, of the Jim Henson exhibition, Imagination Unlimited, which is the touring version of our Jim Henson exhibition that we have at MoMI. It is opening today in Omaha, Nebraska at the Durham Museum. Very, very exciting. We managed to get it open even in these weird COVID times. If you happen to be in the Omaha, Nebraska area, they're taking very good precautions to keep folks safe there. So if you want to go see some puppets and have a great experience, then go over there. It's great. It's great that they're opening it. And I know they're going to be doing a bunch of remote events. So you could go to durhammuseum.org and see, they have a lot of great events coming up. Thanks.
How long is the exhibit going to be in Omaha?
It will be there for 3 months. So if you start driving now,
walking,
That's right.
Walking or biking,
That's right.
You'll definitely get there in time.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great.
So I'm gonna sign off. and let you bring on your amazing, every event is like, you just keep topping yourselves with these amazing guests. So
We've
I'm
got
going to
some
get
good
out of your
people.
way and let you
All right.
with Matt.
Thanks so much, Barbara.
Have fun.
Thanks.
Bye.
Yeah, so today, as promised, it's going to be super happy big puppet fun times. Yeah, cha-cha-cha. See, it even deserves a theme song. That's how fantastic it is. There's a lot to celebrate. There's good things happening in the world, believe it or not. Jimmy Carter turned 96, right? Fantastic. 10th episode of Below the Frame is out now. Yes, Matt Vogel's podcast, Below the Frame, has celebrated its 10th episode, but really, something really big happening this week, and I'm gonna give you a little musical hint. Ba 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 ba. Can
Are
you
we
guess
going to
what it
Hawaii?
is? No, Matt's not from Hawaii, but he's turning 50. Matt's gonna be 50 in 3 days.
Should we bring on the birthday
So we're
boy?
gonna bring on the birthday boy and celebrate and talk to him and have a good old super happy big puppet fun times. Yeah, cha-cha-cha, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls and people and humans and earthlings of all ages, Matt Vogel!
Hi, everybody. Hello.
I told you it would be
Hi.
clear when you had to unmute.
Yeah,
Turn on your
that was it
camera.
right there. I was
I
like,
just
I don't know
wanted-
when should it now? Now?
Yeah,
No, but
no,
now.
yeah, exactly.
Hi, Craig. Hey,
Welcome.
Stephanie. How you doing?
I'm okay, Matt. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for singing the Hawaii Five-O theme.
Come on,
To me.
it's not every day you turn the big 50,
It's not. It's not.
and it's a good theme song.
It is.
Yes, it's good.
We should sing that instead of the birthday song.
Oh,
Oh, that
that's
would be
good.
good.
All right. See, teach your family.
Yeah.
Get them get the kids on that right away.
Yeah.
Your famous son Jack, who has
right.
appeared in all 10 Below the Frame episodes. If
He's
you
in-
haven't
he's
been
in quite
watching
a
Below
few.
the Frame,
Or listening.
listening.
You haven't been watching Below the Frame because
No.
We used to watch it.
We used to watch Below the
watch it.
Frame.
Used
That's
to
right.
could watch it. Now you can
That's
only
right.
hear it.
But for
That's
those of
right.
you who have been living under a rock and know nothing about Muppets, but somehow stumbled on this podcast, this live stream, oh my goodness. Below the Frame is a fantastic podcast. that Matt
This isn't going
created,
out
which
live.
was
We're just going to do this. We can start again, right?
this is the rehearsal.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
And take two.
And,
You go.
yes.
I really loved your first guest you had on Below the Frame.
Yes, yeah, that's right. She was great. She was pretty good. It was Stephanie DeBruzzo.
No, it's a really fun. I've listened to all 10, and so should everyone. It's a great way to Matt talks to our friends, but he's also along the way. If any of you are interested in puppetry, he's given you so much knowledge, and everyone is sharing their stories, how they got there. But in between,
I really loved the Jim Lewis episode, and I think he mentioned me.
yes, he did.
He actually
Yeah.
it was, and some other guys, I think,
That's
and some
right.
other people. He was talking about.
Well, that
people who
happens,
work at
Craig,
Muffle
because
Freight.
you don't want to kind of tip your hand completely. And so
That's
that
true.
opens it up so that when I interview you, you can refer to him as some other
people.
guys.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just that to hit the big 1-0 with Below the Frame is fantastic. But they've been great. They've all been. It's so great to hear our friends.
I mean, it's not
tell
like Jim Lewis and I
stories.
grew up near each other, which we did.
That's very
You know,
true. If
He was in Boonton, New Jersey. I was down the road
So
in Rockaway.
Yes, for those of you who missed the live stream we did with Jim Lewis back in, what was that? Was that June
Yes.
or Untober
Yeah.
or Blue Lie?
Smarch.
Yes, lousy smarch weather.
Yeah, we did. We talked a lot. He mentioned me then because I guess we were on the air together.
I think you have a little bit of a.
Not
let
at
me
all.
brush that chip off your
No,
shoulder.
not at all.
I
Like
can't
it.
get it out.
No.
Yeah. But it's been great, and I know you have a lot more in store for the fans and aspiring puppeteers.
We'll
and
see.
It's great. But what I have to tell you, and I have to really congratulate you on. I mean, from the moment you decided to do the Below the Frame live from the Muppet Room a few years ago, your passion for it was just huge from the start. And
Some might say obsession.
no, and you can tell the real love and time. You've put so much time into this, and you're a busy fella, and that's what's
a
really
little busy.
impressive.
Well,
Could
thank
could
you,
tell the
Stephanie.
people, like, how much of your life do you spend giving them this lovely gift?
Probably far too much. I'm sure my wife Kelly would say far too much. Take a break. Don't be quite as a perfectionist with it, and just, it'll be fine. But
That's wonderful.
well, thank you. And I do want it to be quality, and I want it to be something that will be informative and entertaining at the same time. And so, I have to pour through everything quite often just to make sure that it's good. But you were saying, back to when we did it in the Muppet Room, the reason why I even did it was that everybody, the Muppet performers that were there that day, and then that were there in the episodes after, when we first did that pilot, where I just was walking down the hall and
I remember it
came
well.
into the Muppet Room, and we were just seeing if it would work, and then it became something. It was that we were all interested. We were all wanting to connect with the fans and wanting to connect with people and give them a little bit of information on puppetry, or where we came from, or whatever. And what better time to do it on than on your lunch break at work?
Exactly.
Live.
It's not like we're doing anything else.
I know.
But
I know.
the day it was not long after you did that little test, and we were on the set, and you said, I think I want to do this, and I have a title. What do you think it should be? Below the frame, or beneath the frame, or under the frame? And as soon as you decided on below the frame, I went home that night and wrote the theme song.
Yes, you did.
I still have a voice memo. I'm on the subway, like, go, go, go. I will share it with you someday. I don't know if I ever did, but
Well,
yeah,
no, I didn't hear
me
that,
on the
but
subway.
I definitely heard your polished version with the ukulele, and
Right.
I mean, and it's a lovely
Garage band. I garage banded did.
Yeah, it's so good.
But thank you. But I think we all, that's my way of saying we all got into it in our various ways. And I loved, just diving into like your energy and your commitment to it, because I'm sure that you're the puppet captain. You're a big part of of every episode of the show. You're directing. Your hands are in many sesame pies, as it were. And
I love pie.
Yeah, we all love pie. And it's not like you had an abundance of free time. And I've always been impressed with how you dove into that. Then to do the podcast now, I'll be the first to admit, when you mentioned it to me, I was skeptical that something so visual could be talked about in an audio only format. But I've never been more happy to be wrong. It's fantastic.
Thank you. Well, I mean, it's mostly, I feel like the big difference between the Facebook Live version of Below the Frame and this version of Below the Frame is that we're really getting the real stories from somebody like yourself, Stephanie, where we go back to the beginning of your life, really, and then walk through. And that is really an oral history of what it is about you that made you then become this Muppet performer. And I think that's something you couldn't really do in that visual format as easily. It wouldn't have been as visually interesting.
That's true.
And
but
so I think
then
it
when
works
you
really
add
well
on to it, but then you add the commercials and you talk about the things that we need and the things that are important to be a puppeteer, to be a Muppet performer, in puppetry in general, lessons that either, an amateur performer, an aspiring professional performer, even any performer that doesn't work with puppets can take with them and use. And it's great. And I will say this, when we talked, you did a lot of editing. So the work that you hear, that the audience hears, is not even remotely indicative.
You talked more?
I talked a lot more.
Well,
why would you think that I wouldn't?
That's true. Matt,
and if I don't have a script, I talk and I don't know what the heck I'm saying. So I just
we also had a good time just chatting as friends, as we do now.
We should tell the viewers if someone wanted to get your podcast, where would someone get your podcast?
Well, I would assume that everybody at least knows what a podcast is, and it's a place. It's something you can listen to. You can go anywhere. It's everywhere that you can get a podcast. Just search for Below the Frame or Below the Frame.
So
with
you
Matt
got
Vogel.
your iTunes,
Google, Stitcher, Deezer, Lulu, Curly.
Watzer.
Yep.
Sure. You're just naming my characters now.
That's right.
All of
Schmendrick.
Stephanie's dead characters.
Schlemazel.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, that's right. No, but they're all there. It's every place except for maybe Pandora, and I don't know why.
But we don't want to open that box.
Well, hey, Craig, is there a good question that's in the queue? Got anything happening in
Let's
the Q&A?
start off with a question.
Yeah.
And I think that this is one that you'll be able to answer fairly quickly. Someone asks, Sean Horace is asking, when do you think production for Sesame Street will resume production again?
Well, I will tell you that it will resume production again. I don't know that I should give the exact details, but what I will say is that in order for production on Sesame Street to commence, we will be following very strict SAG-AFTRA and DGA guidelines that have been set up by those unions so that the performers, not only the performers and the directing team, but the producers, the writers, our crew, the cameraman, et cetera, that everybody is working in very safe conditions. We actually were able to go out and shoot 5 episodes of season 52 outdoors at a farm, and where we were able to be very socially distant and yet still shoot some shows in a very safe environment. And we have a great team, a great safety protocol team that has been acquired by Sesame Workshop to help us produce the shows in the safest way possible. And they are really a really great group of guys. And it makes me feel reassured that Sesame Workshop is going to such great lengths to make sure that we are going to be working in a very safe environment. So that's the answer. And at some point we will be going back into the studio to shoot season 52.
Well, as long as we're talking about Sesame Street, which I think we'll probably talk about a lot, Jesse is asking, Matt, what was it like having Kermit appear in Sesame Street's 50th anniversary special?
It was, first of all, it was a dream to have Kermit on the street because he hasn't been there since before that. I think it was maybe season 40. And then it might have been
40. I feel like it was before that. I mean, I don't know.
On an Elmo's World, like.
Oh, so that would have been in the 30s, I think.
Maybe, I don't know. But it had been
a long time.
And so it was really great to have Kermit there. And what was even better is that I got to sing, or Kermit got to sing, It's Not Easy Being Green with Elvis Costello, which I'm a huge fan of Elvis Costello. Yeah. It was such a cool day. He was so sweet and so nice. And it was a dream come true. It was fantastic. And I just love seeing Kermit on the street.
Well, it was a wonderful performance. I mean, it was really gorgeous. And getting to sing, was it the first time you were singing Green? Or had you sung? No, you'd done it in
New Zealand.
That's right.
I did do it. Yes.
Silly me.
That's right. Yes.
So it was not your first Green. This was not your.
No, that's right.
Green.
No.
But what was interesting is that New Zealand also, you don't get the opportunity to perform across the character groups very often in the same show.
That's right.
And I think New Zealand was the first time, I think it may have been one of the first times you were doing Kermit live on a stage. And it was also probably the first time that we got to see all of the characters across character groups.
We had
permission from everyone to.
Well, we did Carnegie Hall, but mine wasn't doing Kermit at that point.
Kermit, yeah.
But
that's right. And that was, I don't know what year that was, but that was even, it was a while back. Even still.
New Zealand.
New Zealand was like
the Carnegie Hall.
Oh, Carnegie Hall. That was 2012. That was 2012 because it was like not long before Jerry.
I'm very pleased. One of the things that I'm very honored about is having been able to write those 2 live concerts that incorporated all of the character groups.
Yeah, and it was in New Zealand for the Jim Henson Retrospectacle.
Right.
And
hosted by Brett McKenzie.
Yes, a wonderful concert. It was just so. There were no sets. We were just rolling out. The performers just rolled out on stage, so we were in full view of the
we only
audience.
had 5 performers with us and 2 local New Zealand right-handers, but because of everybody's doubling situation, we were able to have a very wide range of characters.
Just between Matt and Eric, I mean, just between you and Eric, it's like
That's right.
you got a lot. You could just do a show with the 2 of you and.
That's right. Yeah,
You're pretty
why
good.
not? No, but it was good, and we got to have characters from Sesame Street and the Muppets and Fraggle, and then there was a whole beautiful section with Dark Crystal with great visuals, and it was a treat. I loved it. That was a great concert.
Yeah, it was a great experience all around to spend
Yeah.
some real good time. And one of the things that was interesting is that Dave Gold decided he didn't want to do the concert because
Yeah.
he just thought that we weren't having enough rehearsal. He rather, and it was one of the few times he got to sit and watch the Muppets in a show
That's right.
like this, and he had a really good time.
He did. He did. He loved it, and he thought he was really proud of us up there on the stage and the show that we had put together. He was really happy with it, which is
And
nice.
up till the very last minute, I still had like a bit, in case he decided at the last minute he wanted to do something. I had like a Gonzo thing because we had Gonzo with us in New Zealand, and I had a bit ready in case.
Just in case. He was doing so many things, so many appearances during the whole retrospectacle, during the whole festival that I think he was just.
Oh yeah, he was booked solid. But I said, okay, well we can have a crate. You could do the whole thing at a microphone off stage,
Right.
and we never see you.
Right.
But
He didn't go for it.
no, but it was a magical time, and I'm glad that I was able to be there and be a part of that, and and wrestle with everyone to get all of the approvals and the script approvals, and that was kind of the fun things. I was listening to you and Jim talk about how it's great to riff and come up with stuff, and everybody in the executive side of things wanted to approve the script word for word. And I'm trying to say, well, once we get to New Zealand, we'll play around with it. And we're like, we don't want to do that. That's not how we do things. I'm like, it's how we do things.
It is how we do things. It
Have
is
you met
actually how we
us?
do things.
I mean,
Yeah.
We, the executives would say, I was like, we want to get everything locked in before we get on the plane. I'm like,
Sure.
okay.
Lock it
But I
in.
said, they're going to say whatever they want to say.
Yeah. But the great thing about the performers that we have is that we know the characters so well that 99.9% of the time, whatever we do say is going to be true and authentic to the character.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in something a lot of people don't realize that also sometimes it's what you don't say. We did a bit with Animal, and it's all about timing, and it's about knowing when not to say stuff. And there are characters where the comedy comes in the silences and in the reactions. We did a thing with Sam Eagle, and we got so many laughs just from a look that he did. And it's just it's an art that you guys develop over time, and you just have to sort of sense the timing of everything.
I remember when you were writing it, the hardest thing for you was you wanted to do so much more, but you're like, no, we got to give Matt a break. Wait, no, we got to give Eric a break. Wait, no, his arm's going to fall off.
And people watching, that was the other thing, is that it's a house of cards, because we have to assemble the show that's not necessarily the show we want to present ideally, but it's the show that logistically can be presented because of where the performers have to be for the next thing. And
time to get in the bird.
So I literally, the beginning of the show was Brett McKenzie and Kermit singing a little bit of Rainbow Connection. Mm-hmm. And then they do a little bit of talk, and then Kermit leaves. Yeah. And I ran backstage and put on the Big Bird pants, and pretty soon after that, I'm coming out as Big Bird. Yeah. And that kind of was just the beginning. And then I would go out and take off the Big Bird pants and put on the Count and come out as the Count, and then go back out.
Put on your Count pants.
Yeah, put on my Count pants.
It was literal Jenga, because people would say, oh, we really want to move this song to later in the show. And I'm like, we can't really do that because Matt will have not gotten out of Big Bird by that.
I can't make it. Yeah, that's true. So, but it was great job in putting that together, because it was
so much fun, an honor to work with you and to be out there. Let's do another question, and then we'll start a little show and tell.
All right.
Let's talk. Here's a question from Pete Peterman. Was it easy taking over for Jerry Nelson to perform the Count? And that's another thing, you got to do the Count in New Zealand. So let's talk about taking over Jerry's Count.
It's never easy taking over a character. I think one of the advantages, if there is one that I had, is that I knew Jerry quite well and had been his right hand man for many years. And as Jerry got older and a little less able to perform, he was still able to perform vocally, but not physically. And so he would sit off to the side about 8 feet away, and he would be mic'd up, and he would have his script in hand, and he would be looking at a monitor, and I would put on the count and have the count above my head, and he would do his lines live. And I would have headphones on, and I would hear Jerry, who was on oxygen at the time. I could hear him breathe in, and I knew he was ready to go. And every time he would bring it 100% every time. He was completely there, acting vocally. His voice was fantastic. But he lived inside my head for those, I don't know how long we did that, but we did it for a little while. And so he lived inside my head, and I had been his right hand for many years. And it wasn't easy to take over because Jerry has such a unique and beautiful voice, special. Nobody's voice is like Jerry's voice. And I couldn't pretend to, make it sound like Jerry's voice. But what I try to do is live in the character, live in the character's mindset. What does that character want? And I try to, as best as I can, emulate the passion and obsession for numbers that Jerry would do with his original version of the count. And hopefully some of that rubs off on me to be able to do it a little bit of justice.
Oh no, it's first of all, vocally, I think it's closer than you think. Second of all, I think you and Jerry share a wicked sense of humor, and it's the wicked sense of humor that sort of is the root of so many of his characters. And there have been times where I remember I would be on set because I've all the other women have played the Countess. I've never played the Countess. And I remember saying to you at one point, I would just want the Countess to say, "I smell ozone. You've been counting without me." and you just picked it up and said, "Yes, I've been counting what?" And like that's what Jerry would say. That's what Jerry would do. And there was this moment of, you're not just adopting the character, you're not just adopting the voice, it's everything. It's the character's sense of humor, it's the character's response, it's the character's time and cadence and stuttering and this, but part of that is not only do you know Jerry so well, you share many qualities with him. You're very musical, you have a great voice, you have a singular voice, you have a caring soul for other people, you are very friendly and nurturing and are a good person to work with. You're fun to work with. Jerry was fun.
Keep working on the beard a little bit.
That's true. Yeah, you're getting there.
Thank you.
But you have a lot in common with Jerry, more than you probably know. And yeah, it's not necessarily osmosis, but all of the years of right-handing him and learning his instincts.
Osmosis would be someone else.
That's true.
Yeah.
But you got his rhythms and yeah, you were doubling for him. That's something that we all do. And we've talked about this in the Muppet Room. We know that you give one character to the original 5 performers, and those original 5 performers are going to not just perform them vocally a different way, they're going to physically manipulate them a different way. Jerry's style is looser, and Frank's is more precise, and everyone's got their own
Everybody has their own style. And the important thing about when you do take on a legacy character that somebody had performed before you is that acknowledging and being open to the fact that it is going to evolve.
Yeah,
it's going to change a little bit, because as much as Jerry and I may have had things in common, I'm also just a different person than Jerry was, had different experiences in my life, and I will inevitably, whether I want to or not, those experiences and my mindset will go into that character in some way or another, whether I'm conscious of it or not. And that's a good thing. That is where the character will start to come to life and breathe on his or her own.
No, absolutely. And you've done that with all of the characters you've taken over for. But Jerry, and I think there's a reason why Jerry wanted you to continue doing his characters, wanted you to do Floyd, he wanted you to do, I know you originally did Robin before Peter started doing Robin. Those characters meant a lot to him, and I know that he had a special relationship with you, and those things matter. And also, Jerry's no fool. Like, he knew this is the guy I want, and he trusted you. He trusted your instincts enough to know, like, hey, whatever he decides to do with my guys, I know they're going to be great because you're fun and you're funny and you're talented and all of these things. But
don't let it go to your head.
no, it's
Right. Well,
it's so, but it is, again, we've talked about this many times. It's easy to get to that point where it's like, oh, what would Jerry do? What would Jerry do? But you are, your situation, and to some extent my situation with Fran and Prairie, we were given the blessing.
Right.
You know, your head was touched. And,
Yeah.
You know, so gave you the holy beer and said, here,
That's
it
right.
would not be holy water. Hey, you want to
Let's
share
go on
something?
to do some show and tell?
Sure. You want
You're
me
our
to share
guest.
something?
Why don't you go
Yeah,
first?
you have anything special to
Okay.
share with us?
I do. So, all right. So we did the first Muppets movie with Jason Segel, right? And as a wrap gift, I believe it was a wrap gift. It could have been maybe it was a welcome gift. I don't know. But Jason Segel gave everybody a bottle of Muppet Merlot. Is it backwards or does it look right to you?
No,
you
it's
see it, yeah.
you're good.
So he gave us a
Pretty.
bottle of Muppet Merlot that I've never opened.
Oh, it's fantastic.
2010.
So it could just be like, you know, could be a really crappy wine.
It could be.
Good old 99-cent
Could be
wine.
Welch's grape juice.
2005 Merlot.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
But I think
fantastic.
it's really cool. I'll hold it up really close again so you can see that
I
Kermit.
love it. Oh, I love it. He did his homework.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so that's
What was it like to work with Mr. Segel, sir?
he was fantastic. You know, he was such a kid on set, and anytime the puppets were around, he would just engage in conversations with them. And he really was having a great time. I think there was probably a little pressure knowing that he was, you know, trying to bring these
I'm
characters.
sure Neil Patrick Harris was very jealous on the set of How I Met Your
Yeah. Yeah. He probably was. I don't know. He never mentioned him. No, I don't know.
Was
No, but
there
he
a
was great.
character that Jason Segel seemed to enjoy talking to more than others?
Well, he worked a lot with Peter as Walter,
Sure.
and so they had a thing that was really, they would riff off of each other quite a bit. For me personally, my observation was because I got to play 80s Robot, and
Right.
it might be in the outtakes, but there's a bunch of stuff where we're in a car together and 80s Robot is inexplicably driving, and I just kept throwing stuff out there because, you know, when you're shooting things over and over, we just try different things to see if different things
Yeah.
would hit. And I remember him laughing quite a bit at things that would come
I was
out.
very sad
Nice.
because
Oh, yes, I was
when
gonna
I did the Muppets character encyclopedia, we had planned to give a page to 80s Robot,
Yeah.
and Disney got in touch with us through the publishers, and we were not allowed to feature 80s Robot because there was apparently some ownership issue, whether
Could be.
he was made by another company,
He was.
wasn't made
Yeah.
by the Puppet Heap Shop. And
He was not.
But you
Yeah.
had
In
written a
fact,
whole page. You
Oh, we had that.
you had a
It was all
layout
laid
and-
out.
in fact,
Oh.
up here
Oh.
this is an unplanned show and tell.
Ooh.
The name of the company is Legacy Effects.
Ah,
This is fallen off of my shelf, so his little eye is broken and something's broken down here. But they
It
gave,
almost looks like J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot
yeah,
in
it
that
does.
sense. Yeah.
But they gave this to me
Oh, that's so
from Legacy
pretty.
Effects. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's gorgeous.
yeah. So we had the page all laid out. And I think I sent you a copy of it. If I
You did. I've got it here somewhere. I've got it in my copy of the.
you
of
you
the
glued it in yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I have it right there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it was going to be the first entry.
Yeah.
Because the number yeah.
Let's see. Do you want to go next or?
Yeah. So Matt, I'm hoping that you can share. I don't want to tell people what this is. I want to see if you can guess.
Jeez.
You know what this is. This was given to me by Lars.
Yeah. I know what
Tell
that
the
is.
people what this is.
So that is a script. Oh, and it is my script because it has my writing on it. It
Yeah.
looks like it has my writing on it.
Probably, but it was underneath a lot of other layers of
Yeah.
paper.
So
over
that
time.
is the backing is really, I think it's like cardboard and gaff tape, and there
Yep.
might be a little bit of
Little
Velcro on
Velcro.
it.
Yep.
So that was probably, and it was most likely used by Carol Spinney as well. It
Mhm.
was a little script backer. And
Yep.
so we put our scripts on that and then take that inside the bird. And
There are
Carol
layers.
used to, yeah, lots of layers of scripts. And
Mhm.
Carol used to, he would call it, I think it was script origami that he would do. And he
Yeah.
would cut his scripts up really intricately, and he would then staple them all together and staple them on a little cardboard piece like that. And then he would take that little Velcro, and on the front of the bird, he would Velcro them there and then look from the script to the monitor, the script to the monitor. And I now use those, but I tape them right to the monitor so I don't have to look as far.
Yeah, I
But
think a few years ago, Laura McLean was disassembling one of the monitors, one of the chest monitors, and she said, "Here, you want this?" I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah, but that definitely has some Carol.
Yeah, so I keep it in our display case just because it's such a unique thing, and it looks like garbage, but it very much is
But
not.
it's not. Yeah.
And this is, I mean, Dear Big Bird, if Sesame Street is 30 years old, how come you're only still 6.5? So this is one of the, again, there were like the stack of paper would just be, because it just keeps sticking and stapling and stapling and stapling on top of that.
It's almost dangerous. You could almost hurt yourself with that.
I'm sure. I don't doubt it.
You know?
What do you have, dearie?
Let's see. I think I'll start off with, should I start
Yeah.
with this? Okay. This is the nameplate from Kermit's appearance on Conan O'Brien, Late Night with Conan O'Brien for the first time. For many
probably
years.
93, right?
Yeah.
When you, like the first.
Yeah. This back when I was working for Henson, one of my jobs was to write the a lot of the talk show appearances and guest appearances and stuff. And it was a challenge to get Kermit booked on late night talk shows. And I think Johnny Carson used to have Jim on, fairly frequently, and Jay Leno had Jim on once when he was.
But they
guest
never
hosting.
just had Kermit on the couch, because you'd have to cut a
Right,
hole,
right. They
and
never-
they would have Jim
yeah.
sitting there with.
And Letterman really did not like puppets.
Letterman didn't ever have, like, he had ventriloquist week,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he never had a Muppet ever.
And so
Very
it was a big.
close.
I remember that.
Remember that? We were so
Yes, I
close to going
remember.
to do Letterman, and it fell through.
And I remember saying to Alicia,
Do
like,
a top 10.
Are you
It was a top 10.
sure? Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a
She's
top
like,
10.
Are you? And I said, are you sure? Because I've heard he really hates puppets. And she's
Yeah.
like, no, we're gonna do it. And yeah,
Didn't
I
do
should have put money on it.
But then there was a time in the 90s where we started doing more. We did Conan, we did The Daily Show when Jon
Oh
Stewart
yeah. You
started.
did, and Colbert.
And then Colbert later on, and then we always did the Today Show. That was good. But I remember grabbing this after the Conan appearance.
Well, and
Nice.
Max Weinberg.
And that was the first time I got to see the NBC pipes, because
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
in Max Weinberg's dressing room before they tore down the walls and turned it into an actual attraction.
And didn't Max like actually say, "Hey guys,"
No,
or did you ask?
we asked, and then they brought us in, and Max let us in to see the pipes and everything. It was basically, he was used to it.
And
The
then,
show
and
was
then
still
that-
so new. I think it was probably like, "Ooh, I get to show people,"
Yeah.
and probably 5 years later, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to show people. And then that dressing room became Steve Higgins' dressing room, because he would then show that.
And it was Jimmy Fallon
Yeah.
who was responsible for really making it a thing. And,
well, preserving them.
yeah, and we had
when they renovated
Now
the.
it's beautiful. They've got it's
Yeah.
lined with curtains, and it's
really
really
had Frank to go there and cut the ribbon.
Yeah, I think once once things get back to normal, I think it would be part of the NBC tour, but only when they
yeah.
weren't rehearsing Saturday Night Live,
Hmm.
like either on a Sunday or a week when the show is dark. So
Well, it's actually more about the schedule for the Tonight Show, and because
and SNL too.
because they're on 6.
Yeah,
This
but
is on 6.
didn't they
so
sometimes use? Didn't someone tell me it had to do with the SNL
It
schedule?
might, but-
I don't know.
I don't know.
nowadays,
maybe I'm wrong. I could
nowadays,
be
the-
wrong.
the dressing room
Don't
signs-
listen to me.
the dressing room signs are now digital. Most of the places they use
Yeah.
iPads, so this is
Although,
A
didn't
rare-
you showed me a dressing room card from something, because you've done a lot of those.
Yeah, I've got
late
one
night
from
shows.
I've got one from the James Corden show.
Yeah. That's right. That was the
I
one.
guess the lower budget ones use
Yeah.
cardboard still.
But
Shall
that
we
makes
do
it
another
more
go
fun.
around before going, Dan?
Okay.
Do another quick
Yeah,
show and tell go
Now
around?
this is
Right.
a little long, but okay. So
Right.
when the Sesame Street Unpaved book came out in 1999 to celebrate Sesame's 30th anniversary, it was very exciting for people like Matt and myself who were newbies, and we sort of treated it like a yearbook.
Yes.
People sign. There's
Yeah.
like Lisa Buckley signed my. So in here, and I have this was taped onto it on my bookshelf. It said, "Please sign for Stephanie," right? And it's
That's your-
and in here. So what Matt and I both did, because neither of us are in this book at all.
Nope.
I had been on the show since '93. You'd been on since '95.
7 or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it was as though we didn't exist. So there's a page, of whatever happened to Muppets, right? And
Yeah.
what Matt and I did, we wrote entries for our Anything Muppet characters.
Yeah.
So I will read what Matt wrote. Whatever happened to Stevie, part of Kingston Livingston's the Third's Crew 4.
Yep.
This green anything Muppet was modeled after Slappy White and Betty White for reasons heretofore unknown. Played by Matt Vogel in 2 episodes, he could be heard rapping, "And if we can't be the Crew 4 with you," never finishing the phrase. Silly Stevie. And what I would write in Matt's book was Bean number 3.
Yeah.
Bean number 3 was a character in an insert Prairie Dawns. I think it was about striking vegetables. It was Fairy Tales Today, striking vegetables. And I just loved saying I played Bean number 3.
Bean number 3.
Interestingly enough, in Sheep in the Big City, I played Bean number 2
Oh,
in a bit with Mo Willems. I have never played Bean number 1.
man. Well,
So it is still what eludes
it's
me
still
to
early.
this day.
it is,
So
yeah.
on the thing that says, "Please sign for Stephanie," you see
number
this
3.
little bean, right? Bean number 3.
There
And
it
I'm
is,
thinking,
bean number
why
3.
is that here? Well, then I look inside. This is written on the breakdown for December 1998, right? The schedule.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things we shot, I can't believe we shot this close to Christmas. We shot this on December 22nd. We shot till
my
December
gosh.
23rd, 1998. Yeah. So we were shooting, Matt and I were in a counting school bit, and then they reshot Rubber Ducky. Kevin Clash was directing, or no, Jim Martin. It says Jim Martin was directing, but I think Kevin directed the Rubber Ducky, and they got a whole
like
big like jib shot of this tub shooting
Tub and-
down.
Yeah.
And so we're in the Muppet room watching Kevin set up the shot with Ernie. And it's hot on the studio, and Kevin takes off his shirt, and he's got, a tank top undershirt on. 'Cause he just gotten a tattoo of Elmo on his arm. And we're like, bet he took off his shirt to show off his new tattoo. I bet he's not even hot. I bet he just wants to show off his tat
Show the
on
tattoo.
the monitor. So
Yeah.
you, me, Jerry, Johnny T, and Joey Mazzarino decided to draw tattoos on our arm and go out to the set and surprise him. And I
Just
realized,
be like, oh man, it's
it's so hot
yes.
in here.
Yeah.
And that's why I drew the bean number 3, was to show Laura McLean how to draw it on what it looked like. So Craig happened to be on set that day, and he took some pictures,
Yeah.
which he will share with you now. We look very different. So Johnny T has Elmo's right hand on
That's
him.
right.
Matt's got Baby Bear's right hand. Joey's got Stinky the Stinkweed. I've got bean number 3. There's Kevin's
Kevin with his
real
real
Elmo
tattoo.
tattoo. And then Jerry's the Count.
Yeah.
And I'm in my Liza Minnelli mode. This is a long time ago. It's right after Elmo and Grouchland, when the weather was hot. I cut my hair short and the food was plentiful. Now in the back, over Johnny T's shoulder, he's fuzzy, is Chris Kelly, stage manager. And if you ever watch Saturday Night Live and you see those moments in between the commercial breaks where they're setting up for the next thing, the guy with the headset, now he's got like silver
Whitish,
hair and
yeah,
beard.
silver,
It's like, yeah, big cool
Chris
ass
Kelly.
looking guy. Yeah, that's Chris Kelly. He used to be
Should we show
our
the other picture?
we'll show the other one. He used to be our stage manager. And that's me and baby Matt Vogel.
Yeah. But
Baby
it looks
Johnny
like
T in the back.
it looks like somebody is probably Lars drawing Elmo on
Yep.
Elmo's right hand on
On to
Johnny.
Johnny T. Yeah, because there's another picture I didn't show of Lars drawing Stinky on Joey. But yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
we were bebes. So yeah, that's my share.
Okay.
Well, and it just started out with me wanting to tell the the whatever
Yeah.
happened to story, and then oh wait, being number 3. Oh wait, the day. Oh wait, the tattoo.
I can't remember. I
What
wouldn't
do you
have
have
remembered
for us,
that.
Matt?
Okay, so here's what I've got. I've got two things. They're very similar, but I really love them. So the first is Lee Slaughter, who's in charge of the Muppet Studio now. We had a meeting with her. All the Muppet performers had a meeting with Lee, and she gave each of us one of these with our names on them,
Oh.
and it says the Muppet Studio. It's got my name on it. It's my Muppet Studio name tag, my official cast member name tag.
You're a cast member.
And at first I thought, oh, this is just like a kind of a joke. But no, Lee has one that says Lee on it, and she wears it, and Michael has one that says Michael on it, and he wears it. So I love that. But I might love this even more. D23, was it last year? I don't remember. I think it was last year. Uncle Deadly appeared at D23. And I got this made because he was doing a reading of the original script of The Haunted Mansion. And so I said, wouldn't it be funny if he had a real cast member pin on?
That's
So they made one, and you see there, it says Borehamwood, England.
Yes.
One know why?
That's where the Muppet Show was shot.
That's right, at Elstree Studios in Borehamwood, England. And I had asked Dave Goles, I was like, well, what should I put as the town? Because you always put where you're from on it. I said, should I put Elstree Studios, or what should I put? And he said, oh, no, put Borehamwood. And I was
That's
like, oh,
fantastic.
that's why. And I love this too.
Because it's Disneyland. It's so classic.
Yeah, it's a Disneyland thing. And anyway,
I have a cast badge, but it's a regular Disney one from the period when we were doing Walt Disney World Inside Out back in the 90s. And we went down to shoot it down on location. And they just said, okay, well, we're going to pick you up at the airport. Is there anything you need? And I'm like, I've always wanted a Disney name badge. Could you get one for me and Stephanie? And so
But it took some doing.
Yeah,
they don't give those out like candy.
But I got there, they picked me up at the airport and they're very official. And I said, and this is for you. And it's like an envelope with the 2 badges in it. But they were the old fashioned, just the ovals without the little lip on the top. Mm-hmm. I brought this from our display shelves in the kitchen. Now
that's a real box.
Yes.
Is it in
there's cereal
there's
in there.
Crunchy Stars in there.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I believe this came from the office. We had gotten a bunch of boxes.
Oh my gosh.
It expires in May 1989.
Hey, class of 89! Yeah. I graduated 2 weeks later from high school.
So here's a question about that. Have you ever had Crunchy Stars though? Have you ever had a bowl?
Had Crunchy Stars. Yeah.
What's it like?
Yeah, what was it like?
It's cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
It's a puffed sort of.
Was it like Captain Crunch?
Yeah, it's a star-shaped cinnamon flavor, sort of puffed type of. It's not a puff wheat, but it's like a.
Well, it says on the box, cinnamon toast cereal made from 4 nutritious grains. This is great.
It's a toasted thing, not really a puff.
No artificial colors, no doorknobs.
Oh.
It's very. This is the box has some really fun stuff on it.
I think Bill Prady did a lot of work on the box.
Look at that.
If I recall, there aren't credits, sadly.
But it has eating directions on it. Place cereal in bowl, remove from box first. Yeah. Pour milk into bowl. Place spoon in bowl. Place cereal on spoon. Place spoon in mouth. Place teeth in cereal. Repeat repeatedly.
Yeah, so I put it in plastic because
Yes.
I put it in plastic just because it probably is a food source, as they say in the puppet biz.
Yes.
And we don't want.
Please read carefully. You'll be eating these words.
Uh-huh.
There's just fun all over that box.
And of course,
that's pretty cool.
Muppet fans will know that Crunchy Stars was not the original name of the cereal. It was going to be called Stupid Flakes. And Post didn't want to call one of their foods stupid.
Yeah,
No,
that
it
makes
was
sense.
Crunchy Poofs, Crunchy Flake.
There's some
were a
other
lot of
there's some
different
other
options.
commercials. I
Some-
think there's some old commercials that some of them Jerry voiced, but the
Oh.
final one he didn't do the voiceover on, which makes me sad.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's like, dude.
let's do a few quick questions.
All
and
right.
then, maybe a little bit more show and tell because we got some good stuff. I heard Big Bird's. This is Krister from Norway. I heard Big Bird's monitor is like ancient because a suitable modern replacement couldn't be found. Is that still true? We should point out first, before I send it over to Matt to answer, that one of Carol's original monitors and his harness is at the Museum of the Moving Image. So when that reopens, you can check it out. But Matt, do you want
And
to
Matt
take
has
that
used
away?
that.
I've used that very monitor that's in the museum, and it has been replaced. We replaced it many, many years ago now, and we use up the very mostly up to date wireless monitors, LED monitor, I think, and it's still worn on my chest, and it's still heavy, and there's a battery on it that gets very hot.
But now you have wireless capability and
all wireless.
HDMI and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, wireless, but it's all new.
Matt, was there a new Kermit puppet built specifically for you? That's from Ryan.
No, there was not. That is the same. Those are the same Kermit puppets that we've had for a while.
And that pattern has been basically unchanged since Jim's era.
I think so.
I don't know if Ann Timonelli's still making them, but she was making them for a long time.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I feel like the last time they would have made new Kermits. Well, I know that they made a Constantine, and there were a couple of different Constantines. So that would have been the last time that they might have made a Kermit.
A lot of these
I don't
puppets
know.
last for a long time.
Well, especially
Some of
Kermit
them
doesn't
do.
have a lot of foam in them.
Yeah.
So that's something that doesn't.
But I know that sometimes they have to remake, if they're going to make Elmo, they make a bunch of Elmos at the same time because they have to be able to cut from shot to shot, and a new puppet and an old puppet do not necessarily look.
No.
And also you just let the dye lots or different, the quality of the fur, things like that. You want them to try to be made at the same time by the same person so that they have this feel.
But I remember when we did the Carnegie Hall concert, and we had Rolf open the show, and it was a Rolf that was built
84
from Muppets Take Manhattan that Jim had used.
I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think that the one that Bill uses is from the Jim era. I think it still is. I'm pretty sure.
Now, I could be wrong about this. Had you told me, maybe I'm just imagining things, when Steve first took over Kermit, because Jim's hand was so big and Jim's hand effectively made up the inside of Kermit's head, did Kermit's head have to be taken in? Because I thought I had read that it was like big, or that there had to be some foam
big. I think
put
he
in
may
there.
have had a little brain in there.
Okay, then maybe that was it.
But
I don't
Do
know
you
if
have a brain in
may
there?
have done that at
it had
first,
a little
but
padding.
he that's not. Later on, he did it. He just had his hand in it, kind of how I have my hand in it. My middle finger, sometimes two fingers, depending, pushes up to kind of form the top of the head. There's nothing in there, and it is big. My hands are not as big as what Jim's.
Okay,
I've put on Kermit before, back in the day, Jim had a very large hand.
Yeah, so I have to kind of fill out the head there, but there's something good about it that it helps. It's a very odd way of puppeteering, just because it's not normally like
no,
this.
it's not a natural. Yeah.
So that takes a little bit of getting used to, and I'm still trying to get used to it. But having that much space does allow for a lot more flexibility in the mouth movements and the expressions.
That's true.
Do you want to talk a little bit about how you got to be doing Kermit and there's just the audition process?
Sure. So basically, Steve and the Muppet Studio parted ways, and so someone needed to be Kermit, and there was an audition, kind of not a open call, but I think there were maybe 20 people that were approached or asked to come in to audition. It might have been 20 people, maybe even less. And Brian Henson and Kevin Clash and Debbie McClellan from the Muppet Studio at the time were in that initial audition. And then it got whittled down. I don't remember if it got whittled down twice or just once more. And then it became like maybe 8 people that went out to LA to do a callback with Brian and Kevin and Debbie McClellan again. And then it got narrowed down to 4 people. And I was one of those 4 people. And then we did a series of workshops. And those workshops took, over, I think we were there like a week, and then we would go home for a week, and we come back for a week, and we go home for a week, and we come back, etc. And at the end of that time, and we would do a lot of different things. We would, be there with Brian, who, of course, knew his father very well. And so he was there to give instruction to each of us on where the voice should be placed. And the idea was that we would be trying to go for what Jim Henson's Kermit lived, where Jim Henson's Kermit lived vocally as much as we could. And so that is what the instruction was. The directive was to do that. So that's where I then ultimately being chosen, that's where I try to put my Kermit.
What's very interesting is that they also were thinking about it from the content point of view, because Brian called me at one point and said, we want you to prepare some material from what Jim had done. So they had me go through the history, and find some script material that had been done by Kermit, Jim's Kermit. And so I took part of the monologue from The Tonight Show and part of some other things that we had recordings of, and sort of cobbled together this script.
I remember that. That was the audition. That was one of the auditions along the way.
And I remember that, they had a name for the whole process that was incredibly imaginative. Project X.
That's right. It was Project X.
But it was really interesting that they took it. They also had me try and find some footage of Jim performing Kermit on camera.
Yep.
Because they were showing it to voice experts and linguist people to try and figure out where Jim placed his face when he was making so
but the beard covered up so much.
Well, that's what the problem was. But they were they looked at the whole process from the inside, from the outside, from every conceivable way.
Yeah, and we had a great voice artist named Bob Bergen who was there with us. He plays Porky Pig.
Yeah.
And he was there with us to kind of give us pointers along the way. Dave Goles came in, Eric Jacobson came in, and Patrick Bristow came in, and we did, we did a live version of Being Green that was filmed, and Brian directed us through that.
Now, one of the things we also prepped, and did you end up doing Good Grief, the Comedian's a Bear?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, that was another script that I recommended to them.
Yeah, we did that. We did that. We did an improv piece that was for each of the 4 of us. It was very different. And then we all would play different characters in the other person's scene.
Wow.
We did a talk show improv with Gonzo and Patrick Bristow as the talk show host.
Fantastic.
And all of this was just in an effort to kind of put us in semi-realistic working environment.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
So
the process, you said, took place over several weeks.
Yes.
So what was your life like in your head during those weeks? Had you you know, I mean, yes, this is not your first rodeo when it comes to taking over another character, but this is a very different, it's a different thing. It's a different way of doing it. I can't think of any other audition that's had that kind of intensity behind it. And then the responsibility of it as well.
Yeah, it was pretty
No
intense.
pressure.
You know, I'm an anxious person anyway. So during the process, though, the process of the workshops, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of anxiety. All of us, I think, were anxious. I think,
Well,
you know,
especially the weeks off.
yeah.
I'm just trying to imagine the weeks off. What did you do during those weeks off?
Bit my fingernails, probably.
Uh-huh.
Probably was very on edge around my house, probably with
But
my.
in an excited way, or in a I'm going to
No,
fail way,
no,
or
I usually tend to lean toward the
I'm going to fail whale.
yeah, more than I do the this
We're-
is
we're
awesome.
similar.
I've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
this. I never really think I've got this for anything. And in fact, when the process was over and then we were just waiting to hear,
Mm-hmm.
that was actually maybe the worst part of it, because
Sure.
we were just waiting, and
Waiting,
it
right.
seemed like months, but
How
I don't
long
think
was it exactly? You
it
don't
may
remember?
have been a month and a half. It may
And
have
did you end up getting a phone call from Debbie or Brian or who?
from Debbie. I got a phone call from Debbie, and we all stood out here in in our house, and we were just all jumping up and down and
Aw.
screaming. And it was, my family was all around, and it was pretty. It was beautiful.
I remember when you told me we were doing something for Below the Frame, and we were in your dressing room, and your sons, your friends, you're there, your friends, of course, your sons
Sure.
are your friends.
Why not?
Keaton and Flynn were in the room as well, and what I remember most about you saying that is they were so proud of you. They were so excited for you. I
Yeah,
will always cherish that memory more than, I mean, I was proud of you, but like just seeing the looks on your sons' faces when,
Yeah, it was pretty.
isn't that
Cool.
great? You know, they were.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And I did want to say this, and I've said this before, I think, but I know that there's a generation of people that grew up with Steve as their Kermit, you know, and that's okay. I mean, that's fine. I don't hold anything against them. That's all right. I grew up with Jim as my Kermit. And, when Steve took over, it was very different for me to hear Steve being Kermit.
Me as well.
And I know he did get a lot of backlash, as I have.
Yes, but there was no internet then.
Well, yeah, that's
certainly
what I was
was no
There was no
Facebook
internet.
then.
It was not as easily accessible. You don't
No
see it.
social media. It was much easier.
Yeah,
Yes, if you wanted to complain about Steve's Kermit, you had to write a letter with a pen on paper,
and
put it in an
speaking
envelope, and stamp
on
it.
behalf of
true.
someone who
Yeah.
had worked at the Jim Henson Company Public Relations Department, we did get those letters.
Yes, but Steve didn't necessarily see them.
We actually got more letters about how poorly we were treating Miss Piggy.
Oh,
That was, I think, one particular
Yes.
person.
You mentioned, I just wanted to point this out you mentioned Lee Slaughter before. Do you
Yeah.
know Lee Slaughter's secret Muppet history?
I do. I actually do know that she was she was on a Sesame Street Live tour in Australia, which is where she is
Amazing.
from. She was in one. I don't know who she was, what
I think it
character,
varied. Yeah.
but she was in a costumed character, one of the Sesame Street characters. And when I went to her office the first time, there was a picture of that her cast on her wall in her office. And I got to tell you, she is fantastic. She wants these characters to flourish and succeed, and she's working very hard at trying to make that happen, along with the team that she has there, and along with the Muppet performers. So she's fantastic.
Let's take a couple of more questions since we
I
have
know.
both Stephanie and Matt here.
Oh.
Bruce Manor is asking, both of you, either of you have any favorite memories filming Elmo in Grouchland?
Elmo and Grouchland. That was my first and only feature film.
So
It was
far.
your first feature film. We were both
Yeah.
very young and excited.
Yeah. Here's what I remember. I've told the goat gum story before, so I'm not going to tell that
I
one.
think we told it on my episode of Below the Frame.
It could be. So I have this other memory of when
Yeah.
Vanessa Williams came to sing her big song, and she was the queen
Yes.
of
The
trash,
Queen of Trash. Mhm.
right? And do you remember, Stephanie, how hot it was in
It
that
was the
studio?
hottest day, and we were puppeteering plastic
Yes.
trash bags that don't
Yes.
breathe.
There were puppets that they made out of trash bags, and it was about 150 degrees in the
Yeah,
studio.
no air conditioning.
And we're just double, hands in
doubling
puppets
and-
trying to sing the song. It was awful. And in between takes, they would bring in this giant air
Man. Yeah.
right to Vanessa Williams. But so I remember that. What do you have?
Well, no. So I don't know if you remember first of all, for me, what was extra infuriating is, so they had the camera going around Vanessa, or no, she was on a spinning pedestal.
Yes.
And as she spun, the camera would go in and out. Well, where my trash bags were was when they would go in. So I'm sweating all of my pores are just drenched. And you don't even see my trash bags. I think that was what was so frustrating. I was like, wait, why is it going in now? It's almost fine.
Considering what Vanessa Williams was wearing, is anybody looking at the trash bags?
No, but that was not the main crux of what I remember.
Right.
So the hot day, plastic trash bags, we're right next to each other. But do you remember how hot and punchy we were? Between takes, we started doing Bill Cosby impressions.
Oh boy, I don't.
We're
remember
just
that
saying,
exactly.
it's
But
hot.
it sounds like something we would do.
Started talking because we were so hot that we realized that we were
just
talking like this and
like-
hot. Then it turned into Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
And yes,
For
so
like 8 hours.
yes, so Heat Stroke sounded like Bill Cosby to us at that particular point in time.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
got
did.
very punchy.
Yeah, and we would play wiffle ball
Yes.
outside. They hadn't built one of the sound stages yet, and so there was
Maybe we should point out this was in Wilmington, North Carolina. You
Yes.
guys-
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
Yes. So it was extra hot at the Screen Gem
Very hot.
studio.
It was very hot.
Oh my gosh.
Remember this? Do you remember this? Last thing I'll say real quick. This
No.
wasn't about shooting, but one day a bunch of us went to get dinner in the town there.
Oh
and
yeah.
There was it was twilight, and there was a wall, like a brick wall, and we were walking by it, and that brick wall was covered with cockroaches, but they were, what are they called down there? Do you remember that?
Oh, like water bugs?
Yes.
Oh.
Huge.
Yes.
They were all over this wall, just crawling on the wall. It was just disgusting.
And I think that was not so far from where, if you've ever seen the Hudsucker Proxy, which was also shot in Wilmington, North Carolina, the scene where the hula hoop goes out of the store and the kids doing the hula hoop, like those are the streets of downtown Wilmington. They're very pretty normally when they're not covered with bugs, but it was right near the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
Palmetto. That's right.
was
Oh my goodness. Matt, you have something very special to show, don't you?
I do. Oh, the
On your
thing.
wall.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Unless you had something else you wanted to show first.
Yeah, I have one other thing, and then I'll.
Okay.
Last year I got to go to the Newport Folk Festival, and that was so much fun. It was
Oh,
it was great. And Kermit, of course, sang Rainbow Connection, which people are like, don't you get tired of singing that song? I'm like, no, actually I don't. First of all, it's a beautiful song, and I'm honored to be able to sing it anytime Kermit is asked to sing it.
But it's a hard song to sing.
It's not easy, but I got to sing it with Jim James from My Morning Jacket, and like this amazing backing band that had, the bass player for Wilco and the keyboard player.
Oh my gosh.
The Heartbreakers and the drummer from Slater Kinney and
Matt Vogel dream come true.
It was pretty cool. But when you're there are a bunch of trailers backstage, and the trailers have a flag on them, like a shipping kind of flag. You'll see what I mean in a second. And it has the artist's name on it. It'll say, Brandy Carlisle, and it's kind of stitched on there. Well, I got the one.
Wow.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I like it. It's very cool. It wasn't on. It's really nice, isn't it?
It's so classic looking. It's so it looks vintage.
Yeah, it really does. And so it's this was not on any trailers back there because he was a surprise.
Oh.
But they made that anyway. So that
Well,
was,
yeah, because they didn't want people coming into knocking on Kermit's door.
they did not. So, but the thing that you were referring to, Stephanie,
Yes.
is when I did lip sync battle with Big Bird,
Mm-hmm.
and Big Bird won the lip sync battle after singing. He did a Michael Bublé song, and then he did a Black Eyed Peas song.
That was just
Right.
ugh.
So it was so much fun to do that. It was such a great crew, and it was fantastic. It was great. But I won the competition. Big Bird
yeah,
won
you
the
did.
competition.
It was
No,
Jay-
you
I
did.
won.
You
No,
were up against Jason Schwartzman.
Yes, Jason Schwartzman, who was fantastic. He's so sweet and just couldn't have been a bigger fan and of the Muppets, and was just great. But I got
this is so
the
cool.
belt,
Love this.
and the
so
belt
much.
is right up there, hanging on my wall. The lip sync battle. It's an actual, like a wrestling belt. It
Yeah.
weighs a ton.
Really?
And, yeah, it's very heavy. It's all metal. But that's my lip sync battle.
Did you put it on? Did you?
I
you
did,
put it
yes. Yes, there's a picture of me, Alicia
on?
Durant
Shirtless,
made
putting
me
it on.
put it on. She made me put it on at
Of
Sesame.
course.
She took a picture of me in the belt. It's very heavy.
Yeah, I remember after I had heard that you had done it before I saw the episode. When I saw the episode, I was so blown away because it is hard to do Big Bird. Let's just put it out there on the table. Playing Big Bird is not easy.
Right.
It is not easy being green, but I think it is much harder to do
Yeah.
to be Big Bird.
Yes.
It is heavy, it is hot. The head, you can't, when you're doing lip sync battles and there's a lot of words, and there were a lot of words in the Black Eyed Peas song,
Yeah.
the way Big Bird's mouth is, just physics
Yep.
make it that much harder. And I remember tweeting, I know you're not supposed to know that there's a guy, think about the fact that there's a guy in Big Bird, but I need you to remember that there's a guy inside Big Bird
What?
because this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because you made it look so effortless. You're jumping up and down like you were, I was empathy sweating for you when I watched it,
Well,
because that takes a lot of energy
yeah. It does take a lot of energy
and skill
It-
and
yeah.
craft.
And I
and
will
all of
tell
it.
you that is me in the bird
Yes, it is.
doing all of the dancing and the lip syncing.
Mhm.
And I will also tell you the secret of it was that there was no way that I could do the whole, however long it was, in one go. So it's
I wouldn't
broken
think
up
you
into
could.
3 chunks.
That is not,
I think it's 3 chunks. Yeah, 3 chunks.
that's totally understandable.
I'm somehow very disappointed.
I know you would be.
Well,
Craig.
you know,
I'm
he
really
is
sorry.
he is 50, so
Okay.
he's going to
Well,
be 50.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, it's hard, just physically, the human body was not meant to do this
No,
with what would you say, 8 pounds?
46 pounds.
No,
I don't know.
on
I don't
the,
know how-
in
I
the
don't know.
head, but like there's a
I don't know.
bowling ball weight
a
on
lot.
top of your hand.
It's a lot. You know, it's probably not as much as what it feels like, but the
Right.
thing of it is that when you're puppeteering him, it's not straight up. When you're
Right.
not
You're,
like- it's out
It's
over
that.
the front of you.
and that's hard on
And I
that.
think there's probably some sort of mathematical formula that as you're doing it for a longer time, it gets harder and harder
Oh,
to
Probably.
maintain it.
yes.
Yeah, it does,
Um,
because the more that you're moving, I mean, it's one thing is the more you're moving it, the more tired you get, or the more you
Or
hold
the-
still,
Still,
harder, the harder it gets.
yeah. No,
Taking photos is sometimes really, really hard.
or just standing and waiting and nodding for an interview is really hard.
Yep.
Once that lactic acid starts building up in your muscle, there is no getting rid of it, and then the fatigue starts building.
Let's try and do a sort of a lightning round and go through as many of these questions that can be answered fairly quickly.
All right.
Marty Dworkis asks, who is Matt Vogel's all-time favorite Muppet character to perform and why?
It changes. It changes because I've been very fortunate to have so many characters to get to play. I will say that it is always a joy to play Uncle Deadly, and it is always a joy to play the Count.
I thought you'd say Stevie.
Well, I thought maybe Hansel.
Hansel's
Hansel.
fun too. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
playing
no.
Hansel.
But that little that ape playing the harp, singing "Hey, hey, hey, corns." Hey, Acorns.
Yeah.
You don't get enough credit for the AM characters that you do on the street that show up every once in a while, and
Yeah.
and Mr. Johnson is so fun too.
I do love it, but yeah, I mean, so I have.
So it changes.
You're blessed with many fun things to do, and you
On
do
a
it.
related question, since
Yeah.
you mentioned Uncle Deadly, Patrick Cotnor, our friend who is the
Yes.
executive producer of the George Lucas talk show,
Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
he asks, what was the thought process behind bringing Deadly back in such a prominent role?
Well, so he was in the movies. He was in the first movie, the Muppets 2011 movie, and he was kind of written as a henchman-ish guy, right-hand man to Chris Cooper's character, and that was kind of, with Bobo as his stupid assistant. And it was kind of a little thing, but even when we were on set, Bill and I would just riff quite a bit. And then he had one line in the second movie, but then when the ABC series came around, it was not my decision, but they cast him as Miss Piggy's valet, kind of dresser person. And it just evolved from there. The scripts were really well written and very, very funny, and he got a lot of really good, funny stuff to say. But I don't know what the actual reason. I don't know who said we need to get him and have him do this. I don't know if I had done something that somebody saw. I have no idea.
It was a good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to hope we see more of him. Matthew Soberman says, Matt, how do you feel being a Muppet performer has informed your directorial work? And for those of you viewers who are not aware, Matt does a lot of directing on Sesame Street.
He's one of the best directors we have on the show.
That's very sweet of you.
No, it's true.
Oh, thank you. It helps a lot, actually, Matthew, because I know what my fellow Muppet performers are going through. I know what they're capable of, and I know the pitfalls that are there in front of them as they're trying to perform. And so I feel like that gives me a leg up or an arm up, that I can know how to shoot things and how it's going to look for the characters and make them look good. Because literally, Stephanie, this, we sit there for hours and hours just watching TV all day.
Yeah.
And just watching and dissecting how a show is shot and how you start with a wide shot, and then you go to a close up here for some coverage, and you go to this close up here, and you're telling a story through the different shots that you're seeing, and the director's making all of those choices. Especially on Sesame Street, we have a 3-camera shoot, and we are making those choices live on set. It's not edited later where they pick the best shots to tell the story that way. It's not that kind of editing. It is done live in the moment, where a director has sat hours ahead of time and thought, how will this work with the puppets, and what do we need to see? And we're calling it live. So I'm wearing a little headset, I'm going take, and then the technical director inside the booth is hitting the next camera and hitting the next camera and hitting the next camera. So I do think it's an advantage.
And you're probably also less likely to make unreasonable demands on the physicality of the performer.
I think so, but also I know when they can do something. I know if they're capable.
No.
Like, I know you can do this.
In fact, you directed, you only got to direct one episode of Helpsters, but we were so sad you couldn't direct more for us, because it was so great to have you do it. And visually you brought things to the table that we hadn't done yet, that we hadn't seen before, that, every director who comes into something like that is going to have a different way of working or a different thing they want to show. I remember the first episode you directed while you were also puppeteering was the Hansel and Gretel Playdate episode. Which was so fun for both of us. And I remember you were so nervous, but it worked out I thought it was such a successful day for you, because you knew what you wanted to see. You knew how to achieve it. You knew how to tell. I mean, you were working with me most of the day. In Carol too, because it was Big Bird. So you knew how to communicate with us. You knew how to say, this is what I want. And then I knew you enough to, that over the shoulder shot, this is what I want to see. And you were able to sort of tell me that. So then I'm able to help you achieve that. And sometimes if you're not, if you have a director who isn't as much into communicating ahead of time and they're expecting you to read their mind a little bit, that's happened.
Oh yeah, it happens, and it's important as the director to be able to say, here's where we're starting, here's where
Right.
we're going,
And here's where we're
gonna
going.
stop, but
Right.
here's what I
Because
want to happen.
yeah, because sometimes you'll have a setup and you'll be like, wait, what's the end game here? Am I painting myself into a corner?
Yeah.
Especially when you're setting yourself up physically.
Right.
If you start in one place and wind up in another place, that's going to become physically impossible.
Yeah.
And I can't believe, I think that episode was probably around 2012, 2013. I don't remember when
early
that
on.
exactly was, but I feel like it was, yeah. It feels like you've been doing it longer than that. Like it feels like you've been directing longer than that. So it's always a joy to, or even when we were doing that Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary, and you had the idea, you know, to go back and forth with the camera, and then I could wait for you. Like I got it. But you brought something into the show that I don't think other directors had done those pans. In fact, the one thing I remember when I was watching your episode of Helpsters was, wow, we're getting a lot of camera movement in this episode that we really didn't get in many of the others.
And where can people watch Helpsters?
On Apple TV Plus. And
That's
hey,
right.
there's going to be a whole new batch of them coming out on October 16th. Yeah.
That's right.
Watch for some press appearances that Stephanie just.
Well, no, they'd have to live in Salt Lake City or Las
I'm sure
Vegas,
people
or
might.
Maybe somebody does.
maybe. That's
don't
true.
know.
That's true.
Next question. Spencer Cohen asks, will we be seeing Kermit on Sesame Street again anytime soon?
I don't know.
Yes, ask the lawyers.
Well, I can say probably the only thing I can say is that performer availability is not an issue.
That's true. That's true.
But he's doing so many other characters that I think that becomes the issue
I
as
would
well.
just-
You can't have Big Bird in that script.
I would just love to see him just sort of walk by in the background from time to time, where
Yeah.
you know
Well-
no mention is made.
Just to place them
Doing
there.
the laundry in
we
the back.
used to do that. Remember, I think it was season 40 when we had all the Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And there was one day you pulled me in. It's like, I want you to do something in the background. It's really good. And you handed me Roosevelt Franklin.
Yeah.
And I didn't speak, and I was just in the background
Just
of
in the
Cooper's store.
background. Yeah,
I
we
was
did that
just
whole
looking at
season,
the-
I think, right? Didn't we?
Yeah, that there would be some Harvey Knee Slapper winding up in the
Yeah.
end, and
Well, we
Yeah.
never know because you know for many years Kermit had to be taken out of Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
Mhm.
Then we were able to put him back in. So you know,
You
drop
never
a few hints to Lee Slaughter, and maybe
Yeah.
you know who knows.
We got him in the 50th anniversary special, which
Yeah,
is
that's
pretty
right.
cool. So
What was so cool about the 50th anniversary? One of the things we were also able to do. They wanted,
oh yes, thanks to
Um,
you.
they
You were
wanted-
kind of a part
yeah,
of it.
they wanted to have someone dressed as the baker.
Right.
Go by and say 10
chocolate layer cakes. Yeah,
and they didn't have the track from
the isolated Jim
yeah.
voice
um,
because they only had the music.
so they pulled the counting film off, and there's music under it. Wasn't very good quality, so we
You have
were
the
able to-
fanfare. They
yeah.
didn't want the fanfare. Du-du.
So
yeah.
Jim saved everything, so we were actually able to go to the original elements for that counting film.
Wow.
50 years
I
ago.
didn't know that. And you pulled out
And
just those.
we found the track of just Jim doing the 10 chocolate layer cakes, and
Without the music
good.
behind it. Yeah,
That's a quality Easter egg there itself.
attention
That's
to
pretty good.
details.
yeah.
That's pretty good.
Ryan Walderson asks, and I think Stephanie can also respond to this. Matt, what's it like having your characters inside of your house during these times?
The physical puppets, they mean, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sitting around.
Yeah. I mean, in my basement there, I probably have 6 boxes. Then they're not small
Wow.
boxes. They are
No. Yeah.
big boxes. And not only that, but I also have a giant box that's about this big and that goes to the floor that we put half of Big Bird in because Big Bird is here at my house.
Yeah. Yeah. Prairie and May are under our dining room table. See, we just have an apartment.
Yeah.
So we have a
Any
little
more
less
characters come your
space.
way? I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, that was
and
so
Cody's in somewhere.
yeah, Cody's over
Yeah.
here. But when Ben first, reached out about doing stuff at home back in March,
Yeah.
and I was like, send some anything Muppets, because I know I don't have anyone big that they're gonna use. So it's just like send me a little pig and send me send me one of my stupid little pigs and send me that
Yeah.
little blue AM, that little girl.
Yeah,
But now I'm kind of grateful that they didn't, because where do you put things?
I'm grateful that I have some room
Yeah.
sort of, to put things, but
But you're juggling different character.
Yeah.
Well,
you
you
know,
have one of your kids
families.
is off at college. Just use that room.
oh, that's true. I didn't think of that.
Have any of your kids right-handed you?
Yes.
Because I know that Phoebe Rudman has right-handed Cookie Monster quite a
Yeah,
bit.
Jack right-handed has right-handed me for a fair amount of things, actually.
Yeah.
And I did a video at the very beginning of this lockdown quarantine thing of Kermit
Yes.
out in the,
The band-
in a
yeah.
forest and
I love that.
playing the banjo, and both Hunter and Jack are helping to play the banjo.
Nice.
It
always thought
required
that was-
two kids to help.
But that was amazing. That's why it looked so good. The one thing I really loved about the Elmo's Playdate special was that they credited all of the family members who helped.
Yeah.
So Craig's name is next to your kids and
Yeah.
Jonah Lynn's and,
Really cool.
and Phoebe Rudman. And I kind of teared up at that a little bit because
Yeah.
they acknowledged that the families really were. I mean, Craig became indispensable when we were doing Helpsters Help You here. Because we
Sure.
were working with a real camera and like everyone was teasing, oh, you have a right hand. It's like, no, he's got to monitor audio because
Yeah.
we're on the, we got trucks out on the street and with
Yeah.
white balancing and the focus and all that. And yeah.
So another
we were
question
lucky.
from Patrick.
Yeah.
Or, who's Matt's dream below the frame guest that he hasn't gotten yet?
Hmm.
And I am available.
There's
There's
there
a
are a
lot-
lot that you've recorded that you haven't released,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
Who's the white whale?
So, I mean, obviously it would be amazing to interview Frank. Wouldn't
That's what I would
that be
guess.
cool?
It would require a lot of bleeping, I think. So.
Probably, but I've done that before, and that's fine. We did it in the Bill episode.
That's right, Bill. Yeah,
Uh,
there's bleeps galore. It's more
oh,
bleep than talk.
I mean, but so I would say Frank, but even just Dave, like Dave, trying to get Dave to talk.
Yeah.
Like I've done all these before. I've done them, and I'm like, but this is different.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about things that you won't be talking about, and because I
Yeah.
think that when we do talk, we come up with such interesting things and go on these little diversions. And
I've learned about
Dave
things
would
I
be,
didn't know
you know-
about any of my friends, people I've known for years.
I-
Like I didn't know that.
when we've
Oh,
gone
so-
out on, when we I think we were out in LA doing something. I don't remember what it was, but we went out after I think we were doing the Muppets Kitchen shows.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
with Cat
and-
Cora.
with Cat Cora. And after shoot one day, we all went out to dinner, and I was sitting near Dave, and I was just hearing all sorts of stuff that
Oh,
I
he's got
never
great
knew.
stories.
Well, wasn't that where you learned the Parent Trap story?
Oh yeah, that's about like Dave's appearance in the
He's
in
got
the Parent Trap.
great stories
Yeah.
they're fantastic. So I'd love to get.
Dave, if you're listening, and I know you're not, be on
Yeah,
Matt's
come on.
podcast.
Anyway,
But I will point out, hopefully we can get you, Frank, to do your podcast. Or you
Yeah.
can get him.
Let's get him
I am so thrilled that Frank did a foreword for my upcoming book about Sam and Friends.
Yeah.
wow, that's cool.
But you did have the heart surgery card to play.
When you asked him to do it,
So-
and then you have heart
Yeah.
surgery,
Yeah.
quadruple bypass, he's gonna
Yeah.
follow up.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that was it because he was very, he called, he emailed, he was very concerned. Dave and Frank were wonderful when Craig had surgery. So yeah, I think that
Actually,
you were
Dave
able to
actually
guilt him.
performed the surgery.
He could.
Yeah.
Not a
I would
surprise.
not be surprised. In fact, if he did a below the frame, I'm sure that would come out, that he's actually a skilled surgeon.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he could talk in great detail about his shoulder surgery, his hip
Oh.
surgery. He could talk in great detail.
That's true.
When I remember, and I'll just sort of talk this.
Right.
One little last show and tell, and this has to do with Dave because this happened. This is from right before Dave getting some of his surgery. I think it was on his hip.
Shoulder?
I
Oh,
think it was hip because he was having trouble. We did the World Science Festival takes place in New York, and they were doing a press conference and invited Dr. Bunsen Honeydew to participate in the press conference along with Alan Alda,
Yeah.
your cousin.
he's not my cousin. He's a DeBruzzo, but I don't think we're related.
He said that, how.
I like to call him Cousin Alan, but he's not my cousin.
So one of the gags that I came up with was in Muppet Labs, you've heard of string theory and there's silly string. So Muppet Labs has serious string theory. So we so we did the routine, and Bunsen ends it with spraying silly string all over the thing. And you write one little line in the script, and then the people at Puppet Heap, Lauren Attanello and her people, come up with this whole packaging for the Muppet Labs serious string theory.
With all of the
caution may contain string. And no strings were harmed in the making of this product. All string has a beginning and an end, but it is up to the stringee to find it in the universe. All string is equivalent to spool from which it sprung.
No one will ever read that except the person holding it.
Which is kind of cool.
Don't shake this can, and don't shake anything else either. Exactly what were you hoping this was going to say? Why aren't you working? You should be on the set. Get back to work and stop reading the props, which is really none of your business anyway.
That's been on our shelf for years, and I've never read it.
Yeah,
that's good.
No, it's like the sesame props in Hooper Store. The nutrition information and stuff on that.
Basically, that was a reason to say when Dave was doing that, I remember him just, he was moving around like a 111-year-old man. And every move he made, and of course, when you are puppeteering like that, you're getting down under podiums and stuff. And he was just not having a great time. It was shortly after that he got some.
But when he was performing, when he's in Honeydew, then then he does have a great time, and there's some of the adrenaline of performance. He's done it many times, but having Bunsen Honeydew without Beaker is just really a challenge to try and come up with something. So
it is, and I think for him, I don't want to speak for Dave, but I'm going to speak for him a little bit. Usually
he's not speaking for himself.
That's right. He's not going to do your podcast.
That's right. Then I'm going to talk for him. No.
Yeah.
But he oftentimes will get these chunks of words for Bunsen, and he's just like, so many words. So many words, but he always does them. He's so funny when he does them. It's so hilarious.
Yeah, and you see it. We were watching that National Geographic game show that.
The Keegan Michael Key hosted.
And we didn't. Beaker pop up.
I didn't know that they were on there. It was great.
Yeah.
I think let's do.
Yeah, Bunsen is fantastic, and no one but Dave. I feel like no one but Dave could ever do him.
A couple of quick questions. Ilana Solomon asks, will there be any new Electric Mayhem content in the future?
That'd be great. I'd love to do some Electric Mayhem stuff.
We had pitched back in the Henson era. We had pitched doing a Behind the Music.
Oh yeah,
that'd be great. I would love to do that. I would love for them. This is just me making this up, but I would love for them to release like a vinyl, limited edition vinyl album, like a
color vinyl.
Yeah, like a tie-dye vinyl.
Yeah.
Stephen, BST, BSP, will this Lincoln Center Sesame Street show ever be widely available? It's going to be broadcast, right?
It's going to be broadcast, but I don't know that it will. I mean, it'll be widely available on whatever it's being broadcast on. Is it on PBS? I don't know what
I think it's PBS, but so check your local PBS affiliate.
Yeah, and that's in October sometime, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember
what I heard.
Karen Wilkins says, during quarantine, did you and the other puppeteers keep your hands and arms in shape by holding them above your head?
Sadly, no.
No, we just worked. We had to work. We were luckily we had a lot of time to do a lot of things at home, which is one of the great things about doing this job, being able to shoot things from our homes.
Yeah. Well, and unlike so many other performers who have, I know people who are primarily stage performers, and there's just no opportunity for them to do much at all. And the fact that we're able to do some voiceover stuff from home and some puppetry from home. Yeah. Although I haven't done that much. Like so I got out of shape fast. I was so in shape. It comes in little waves. It does come in little waves, but it's amazing how quickly you lose it.
Yeah, it is.
You could be doing it for 6 months straight. And then you go 2 weeks without, and you're like, wait, what? Ow. No, why?
That's right. That's true.
Yeah.
Someone says, who is the little person? Walter Cunningham says, who is the little person taking pictures behind Matt?
The little person is actually my wife who's sitting here with me.
Kelly, Hello,
Kelly.
Kelly
Like,
Vogel.
come and say hi, Kelly.
Mwah.
Want to give a
She doesn't
little.
want to say.
She just
We
doesn't
love
say hi.
you. That's okay.
She
We
doesn't
love
want to
you,
say hi.
Kelly.
She's just sitting over here.
We love you, Kelly.
We miss you, Kelly.
You could say something.
I hear her giggle. It's good to
She's sitting on a little.
feel her presence. Oh, beautiful Kelly. Hello.
How did they see me?
I think your hands were coming out into
No,
the
it's just
shot.
the phone. It was
Oh,
just
it's
the
just the phone.
phone. It could have been Keaton. It could have been Flynn. Could
Yeah,
have been
that was
anyone.
Kelly.
It was so subtle.
It
Not
was so
subtle.
subtle.
Okay. Jesse's asking how the Salmon Friends book is coming along. I think that's for me.
Yeah.
So I
I'll
would
pick
say
this one.
it's coming along very
No.
well.
Matt should answer that.
Yeah, Matt,
question.
how's it going?
I hear it's going really great.
There's a lot of great, interesting things that we're learning.
Yeah.
Um,
What else?
And and Frank's already done his part of it, so
That's good.
that'll be good.
When is it going to be out, Craig? When is it going to be
Who
ready?
knows? I mean, I'm
Is
trying
there a
to.
timeline or no?
Not really.
The
No.
problem is that he has a lot of other little tasks that get in the way of.
Sure.
You'd
Oh, yeah.
think that
No.
quarantine would have given him ample
We have
time,
about
but
40,000 words,
Mhm.
and I have to sort of do a lot more research. Some of the research that I had been doing in person can't be done in person right now because the Henson archive is not open at its full capacity. So Karen sends me some scans of things when she can.
but you did
and
have a fun interview
I did
with,
a couple of great interviews.
with
Did-
Jim's childhood friend.
yeah, Joe Irwin, who was the guy who went with Jim to Europe.
Yeah.
He's still
Wow.
around, and we did a fun chat.
Unfortunately, he didn't remember too much about the things that Craig wanted to know about, but it was fun to hear stories about, you know,
Sure. Yeah.
young Jim. And
And I did get to go to the studio where they did Salmon Friends for several years. It's still there in DC, and got a little tour of everything. Oh, I had a question there.
oh,
that
I'm
was
so
fun.
sorry.
Um,
I'm so sorry. I thought.
oh,
that
I
you-
wanted, yeah, let's we'll close out with a question for both of you, because I want to thank Matt for joining us. And I know it's getting late, and we have a bunch of people.
Oh my gosh!
watching,
How did
so
it get to be 8:30?
Um, we will finish with a question for both Stephanie and Matt.
All right.
What was the hardest scene to shoot in your career?
You'd think that would be an easy question to answer.
The hardest scene to shoot in your career?
Hmm.
Sometimes they're all hard for different reasons.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of something, anything.
I know. I got nothing.
I have something. I
Okay.
think, and this is only because I was talking to Warwick
Mhm.
Brownlow Pike, and he mentioned this, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." So in the very beginning of Muppets Most Wanted, there is a scene where Constantine comes out of a muddy
Okay.
pond or something. It's just
Yeah.
muddy. He comes out, and I think he says it's time to light the lights or something like that. I think that's what he does say. It's time to light the lights. But he comes out of this pond, this mud, just mud and murk. And so they built this giant pool. Well, it's a small pool, and there was a rubber glove
Mm-hmm.
that I had to put my hand up in through,
Ugh.
puppet on that,
Yeah.
duck the puppet under the mud.
Ooh.
And just the timing on trying to get it to come up there and make sure that the eyes weren't messy, because he wanted
Yeah.
to come up a little clean, and doing that, and it just took forever. It was not easy for some reason. And then at one point, I came out of the puppet, and the glove part started to go into
Oh,
it
no.
onto
Oh no.
and it unfolded
Oh,
like
no.
this, went down, and everybody was like, "Get out of here!" And the whole thing just burst, and we had to
That
fix it.
see,
Ah.
but that happened with Jim and Frog Prince. That was the
Oh,
famous
really?
story
Really?
about the glove.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
sort of
didn't.
Hey.
If it had been held or somebody, they knew that was a
Great Muppet
possibility.
history in that.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Why do people write mud and water for?
Yeah, and I don't know if that was the hardest thing, but that's the first thing I could think of.
Well, no, it's funny because when I was doing Ubi and Craig was writing on Ubi, he wrote a whole show where Uma didn't want to take a bath and she was covered with mud. Now, this is just my actual arm, and you can't really just put mud on the arm because it doesn't read as mud. So I had to have this makeup and this combination of like this crap on all day, which means on my right hand, which
Yeah.
means eating, using the lavatory. These things become a little tricky during the day. And of course, it's like, thanks, honey.
Also did the episode with the chicken that pooped. Right.
That's right. Uma wanted to play chicken all day and then ran into a real chicken. And during this take, the chicken's up on the table and Uma's here. And at one point, Uma's pretending to lay an egg. And I guess her sounds were suggestible because Uma's pretending to lay an egg. And the chicken just, not on me, thankfully.
What? You give up
but
show
I
business?
kept going.
Yeah. Yeah. gotta keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah. So these writers come up with these things, and then you have to.
Yeah, these
But
writers.
It's really hard because it seems like things are hard for unfun story reasons.
Yeah, that's true. They are. There are things that, if I did think about them, I would go, oh, well, there was this. But
Right.
it wouldn't be. there'd
Like
be
sometimes it's about like throwing
Oh,
something.
yeah.
We had to do it. Oh, there was the sticky wall on Helpsters in this interstitial where we had to jump onto a sticky wall. So the way we had to do it, run through the frame, back up because we couldn't have our faces toward the sticky wall, back up, and then throwing the weighted puppet with the helmet on
Ugh.
onto the thing. It took me like 30 tries, but it's
Yeah.
like the angle and this, and then you've got a million people saying, well, what if you do this? What if
Yep.
you do this? And
Try this.
it's not
You
helpful.
try.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's the little, or like picking up a prop, or
You name
it's usually things that aren't really fun to talk about.
Yeah.
And yet I've spent all this time talking about it.
Well, I think
As I do.
there are so many other questions that I would love to answer, but maybe if we ever do this again, we'll have Matt come back at some point. And I want to remind everyone to download and enjoy Matt's podcast. And it's called Below the Frame.
Yes.
That's
You
right.
can get it
Below the
wherever podcasts are offered for
Procured.
free.
And the new one's released every Wednesday, and he
Every Wednesday.
announces the new episodes every Monday. So
That's right. Yeah.
Although, can you give us an exclusive?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you an
Yeah.
exclusive. So
Yeah.
episode 11 is Fran Brill.
Fantastic.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's
We
great.
had her on our show first.
That's right.
You've also had Dave, haven't you?
We did not
No.
have Dave.
Oh, well.
We
okay.
did.
But
we-
you didn't ask Dave.
I
No,
no.
I don't think you
yeah.
asked Dave.
No, I asked Dave to be when we were going to do the mystery guest on the other thing we did for the Center for Puppetry Arts.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I asked him to be a mystery guest, and he said no.
Doesn't have.
No, the thing is,
No,
that
I think it was his Wi-Fi connection.
No.
Like, to do a live stream is actually kind of
No, it's just
where he is.
It's
Yeah,
very
could
funny
be.
because Jerry used to call himself the laziest man in Puppetland. But the other thing is that Dave would just, if he had the choice of doing something or just not doing it, Dave will always opt to not do it. If he,
Yeah.
But he has fun when he does it.
he always has
So-
fun when he do it. But I mean, and he enjoys the work itself.
I think
but,
he enjoys his life too.
there have been other things that over the years when I was in the Henson publicity, it's like, oh, you want to do this public radio show? And no, not really.
Yeah.
He likes his life.
knows
He
what he
likes his
likes.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
knows
But
what
He
So-
doesn't, he doesn't have that need for attention and to be loved that we all have.
I know that
That's right.
we all have. Yeah.
So he's secure in that way.
We're so grateful that you took the
But we
time
love
because you're a busy fella.
Oh, well, thank you for
You know,
having
with your many children and your beautiful wife and your many characters and your many responsibilities. And,
Right. Yes.
And it's lovely to take the time to see you because I have not seen
Yeah, I
your
know.
face in quite some time. So that's also good too. And hopefully we will be in the same room at some point in time.
Yep. I
And
hope so.
but thanks for sharing so many fun things with us. And you're great. And you're gonna be 50, and you're my
Nice.
pal.
And hopefully
Thank
when we're back doing things at the Museum of the Moving Image again, Matt will come down and do something with
You bet.
us, and it'll be lots of fun.
That's right. So wear
Anytime.
those masks, people, so we can get there quicker.
Yeah.
So
Please.
everyone at home, thanks for tuning in. Take care of yourselves.
Yes, please stay safe. Keep others safe. Hey, get a contact tracing app. Why not?
Oh.
Wear a mask. Fill out the census. They just extended the deadline. Vote.
And don't forget to
Eat your
vote.
vegetables. Eat a cookie. Watch Amber Ruffin's show. Have you watched Amber Ruffin's show? It's
No, is it?
so
I gotta watch it.
fun. It's so fun on Peacock.
You were going to say something? Matt?
Yes.
I was just going to say, general hygiene is always good too.
Brush your teeth.
Brush your
It's
teeth.
fun.
Brush your teeth.
That's
Up and down.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. No, it's just we want everyone to stay safe and healthy. We want to see you all again real soon, and we want to see our loved ones real soon. So let's do everything we can to make that happen.
Tell your friends if you haven't had a chance to see this, or if you want to see it again, it will be archived at the museum's YouTube page at some point. So pass it along to Muppet fans or Muppet fans you don't know, that if they didn't tune in. We had some people posted on Twitter, oh, gee, it's too bad I don't live closer. It's online. You have
right.
no excuse. I know usually we have things at the museum and people are like, oh, I know the show's in New York. You're online. It doesn't matter where you are.
That's right.
Maybe they don't
anyway.
have the internet where they are.
Maybe.
Oh,
But then how do
that's
they
true.
tweet?
Well,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know.
You
I
got
don't
them.
know.
We're online.
That's right. That's right. So thanks for making this so special, Matt. And
Thanks.
happy early birthday.
Thank
Have
you,
a
Stephanie.
great day. Be well,
you.
stay healthy, and
All right.
mwah.
Bye,
All right.
everybody.
Bye,
Thanks for
everyone.
joining us.
Good night.
Bye.